Hello everybody, this is Suzanne Kellner-Zinck from Dying Visions Hypnosis in the Disappearing Type 2 Diabetes group. And I'm coming on here today with a really important message because a lot of the things that people are so very concerned about from what I'm reading in the other Facebook diabetes group is that they're getting a lot of confusing information, most especially from their doctors. In one example, there was a woman who was asking for information regarding going keto. Her doctor doesn't like that idea, says that she needs to be basically on a regular diet with a lot of normal carbohydrates, fruits, vegetables, whatever. And another one is talking about gaining weight on insulin and doesn't want to be gaining weight. Well, I've been gaining weight because I went through menopause and the hormones do different things, and I don't like gaining weight. It's not as easy as just going off the insulin. These are the things that you need to understand. Conventional doctors do conventional medical interventions. If you don't like the results you're getting, you need to go elsewhere for your information. This is especially true if your body is telling you, by it gaining weight, by it not being able to think clearly, by it not having the energy that it once had, that there's something wrong with what you're doing, regardless of what the doctors tell you. Doctors are wrong a lot of the time, folks. They seriously are. I mean, if you go through times, there was a time when they would use arsenic to supposedly help people, and that's obviously deadly. We know that as a carcinogen now. Leeches, they used to leech people basically to death to get out the dirty blood. We know that doesn't work anymore. And I could go on and on and on and on, especially with the cancer treatment today. If I was ever diagnosed with cancer, I would never undergo radiation, nor would I undergo this thing called chemotherapy, because your immune system is the most important system you have in your body to counteract anything along with your attitude. And I've learned this, not because I had to fight cancer, thank God, but I did get rid of a brain tumor that was supposedly going to be there. 2.2 centimeters. Well, 2 years afterwards, I visualized that sucker away. So much for what doctors know and don't know. So what do you do, diet-wise? My advice is to get away from the simple carbohydrates. Anything that is manufactured, anything that is white, stop eating it. It's not healthy for you anyway. It's not healthy for anybody. Just stop eating it. You don't need it. When we're talking about vegetables and fruits, eat the whole fruit. There's a reason why they came packaged naturally the way they did. They fill you up. They're nutritious. They have vitamins and minerals in them. And you'll be okay. Stay away from artificial sugars of any kind. They're toxic. I wish I had the chart that Dr. Oh God, what's the guy's name? I should know his name. It might come to me. Anyway, one of the largest online doctors who actually the big folks have cut down some of his videos and things, unfortunately, because he had hour interviews with specialists on different things. But he will tell you as a holistic doc that these things are deadly. Deadly. And when you eat zero calories, sugars, your brain gets very confused because your brain knows that sugar is caloric, but when you have these toxic chemicals and there's no calories, this is why people overeat. Because the stomach's still hungry. And if you notice, most of the people that you watch eating, drinking, no calorie, whatever, dumping that fake sugar in their coffees or whatever. Most of them are very, very overweight. That ought to tell you something right there. How these things do not help your body to do what was intended by inventing these things. Stop those things. A little honey, a little molasses, whatever. It's not going to kill you. It's got a lot of enzymes in it. It's natural. It's good for you. Not too much, because your body can't metabolize sugar. which is what these things are, because of the insulin. We've talked about that before, so I'm not going to go into all the physiology. Watch one of the other videos. But suffice to say, eating carbohydrates, as long as it's not the simple sugars, and stay away from wheat. If you're in America, USA, stay away from wheat, stay away from soy, stay away from corn. It's all GMO'd and really, really, really bad for you. If you're going to eat meat, do yourself a favor and invest in real meat that doesn't have antibiotics, which is actually given to the livestock so they grow faster. Yeah, it keeps them from getting the infections from being in the caged whatevers, but it's really given for them to grow faster. You end up eating this crap, and then you wonder why it does really weird things, especially with the estrogens and things, hormones that it's given. So go to Whole Foods or wherever, real butcher that gets really good farm-raised meat. You only need about 3 ounces every few days. That's all you need for the proteins, which break into the amino acids that develop the neurotransmitters that you need for stable emotional, mental abilities to function, as well as to repair any of the tissues that need to be repaired in your body. So what protein does, that's why when you go to a hospital, you have a surgery, they give you a lot of puddings and tapiocas that has protein in it, okay, for the healing process. This is why. Insulin. If you're type 2 diabetic and your doctor wants you to go on insulin, that is the worst thing in the world that you can do. Fire the doctor and go find an alternative. Just do it. You have insulin resistance. If your body can't use the insulin that it's already making, what makes you think it's going to be able to use the insulin that is given to you artificially? It's absolutely insane, inane, and dangerous. Don't believe me. I'm not a doctor. Don't pretend to be one. Dr. Jason Fung, he's very much into intermittent fasting because it's really about getting rid of the fat that develops in your liver and then your pancreas that kills your beta cells in your pancreas, so you no longer are making insulin. This is the problem. You need to lose weight, and if you lose weight, it doesn't even take that much weight, intermittent fasting is a really good way of doing it, as long as you don't overdo it. And then there's another person on here. I just need to find this person's name because, well, as I say all the time, I really don't have a really good memory. Dr. Sarah Halberg on YouTube. She's another one who really explains how the body works really well from a medical point of view. Because when you understand your physiology, you understand what you need to do to have it work optimally for you. It's not based on selling drugs. It's based on people eating the foods that they're meant to eat, all right? To get the sleep that we're meant to get, to have the personal interactions that we need to feel loved and cared for. It's very important for human beings to have that. We're tribal peoples. That's where it all began, relying on one another. Unlike the Western society where it's supposed to be, you do it all on your own, and if you can't do it on your own, you're a loser. Well, let me tell you something. Nobody does anything of any import on their own. Nobody. Richard Branson is going through a rather hard time right now because of all of his travel businesses, their airlines and whatever. He will tell you that he hires really smart people, he lets them do what they know how to do, and he just owns the business. That's how you can run 300 businesses at the same time. 200-300 nonprofits. I don't know how many nonprofits. Many, many of them. Because he isn't actually running them. He just owns them and lets the CEOs and CFOs and whatever old C-suite people do what they know how to do. Yep, that's the way that goes. So that's what I wanted to tell you for today, that you don't need to be confused. You don't need to feel overwhelmed by it. Your body is a self-healing mechanism. It can heal if you give it what it needs. What it really needs is healthy fats and proteins and some carbs, but make them complex carbs. Eat quinoa. I really like it cooked up with onions and garlic and lemon and coconut milk, things like that. Really delicious with some walnuts on top. It's a very nice breakfasty type thing. Cinnamon and nutmeg and things like that. Be creative with your cooking. Use spices. Spices are really, really good for you. Herbs are really, really good for you. Use those. A little bit of sea salt, not too much, especially if you have high blood pressure. You don't want to really have any added salt. Not really. But use your intuitive knowledge to guide you, and know that if you have a positive attitude and you know that you can actually overcome this thing in a healthy way and learn from your journey, you're going to be so much better off in the end, and you're going to be able to help other people to get their heads on straight, and instead of being scared of something that the medical system wants you to be afraid of because it's how they make their money, and know that you can overcome it instead by listening to your body and doing what makes sense based on what it takes to heal yourselves. And yes, people can reverse type 2 diabetes. 90% of them can. It's just a matter of healing the gut and healing the pancreas by not giving it too many sugars and allowing that fat to get used, which means eating less and eating well. It's the bottom line. All right, Suzanne has a paper to write, so let me get on to that. I just wanted to leave a message for today. So as I thank you for spending your time till next time, and be well.